Welcome to Talk a Game, and West Ham United have just been beat 2-1 by Manchester United in the last ever FA Cup game at the Bowling Ground. Gonzo, how you feeling?
Pretty gutted. It's not a good feeling. Got used to the season going well. Knocked the wind out my sails really.
Scott, what about yourself?
Sick, physically sick.
Yeah, I think we all came on here expecting tonight to be a really good review. I think we were all expecting to be in the semi-final of Wembley. We spoke to a Manchester United fan last night who does full-time Devils, and he was expecting us to be in the semi-final as well. So Gonzo, would you say it's almost like an FA Cup upset, or would that be a bit too biased?
Well, it was the FA Cup, and I'm upset. That's for sure. Uh, yeah. I mean, I expect us to win. I thought we'd win. I thought we were the team in form. I thought, man, you were rubbish, and we just did not turn up for any number of reasons. We didn't start playing until the last 10 minutes. Really, it was a weird game. We've not played like that for quite a while, I think.
Scott, we played. I thought we played quite positive for the first 10 minutes. Although we were really pressing, man. You had them pinned in their own box. Got a couple of dangerous free kicks. Lanzini put in Valencia, not quite one on one. It was a tough chance, but it was a tame shot. But then it was just all Man U. Credit where credit's due. Scott, do you think Man U were fantastic tonight? I thought they were just. That's the best I've seen them in a long, long time.
I think, like you said, we played well first 10 minutes and last 10 minutes. No, not fantastic. They play a boring style. It's all about possession with them. And I think we allowed them to play that. I've seen us just having a go. Our formation wasn't right. If you're going to play Carroll, you've got to give him service.
Gonzo, do you think the warning signs were there in the first half? Because Man U were getting in between Noble and Kiate in our back four a lot. Do you think Lingard, Martial, Rashford, they were all dropping deep into that wee hole and saying to Fellaini, Carrick, especially Carrick, he had all the time in the world. I think he could have baked a cake in the middle of the park. He had that much time on the ball. Do you think the warning signs were there and we didn't really see to it in the second half?
I thought we all game we were a midfielder too short. Yeah, actually, I really did. Just thought we were outnumbered. I think we basically had 3-on-2 in there. Payet was wide at the start. Lanzini was quite advanced and almost pulling wide like himself. You'd see him playing 1-2s and they were both wide. And so that was quite weird. And then you had Valencia who was wide on the other side. So yeah, I think we were one midfielder too short in the middle. Having said all of that, Valencia takes one of those two chances, which he should have done. I mean, he really hits the ball hard. There's a training video on the official site of Valencia striking the ball, and he really hits them hard. And to be fair, I think this little one probably could have hit the ball harder than Valencia struck it, in all honesty. So I think that goes in. It's a different game. Then all the nerves of Man U come to the fore, but I think we allowed them to set on and they gained confidence from it.
Scott, not long into the second half, Man U had us pinned back for a long period of time. But what was Antonio doing? He just flicks it off his man and bang, counter. Not really a counter attack. They're well inside our half, but world class goal.
He took it well. I feel sorry for Antonio. It's not his position. It's not his position. We put it in there. What that's going to do to his confidence? I mean, all through the game after that, he was just trying to make up for it, going on them runs. He gets forward. There was big gaps behind him throughout the game. I feel really sorry for him. But, I know he's got to be played in that position for the FA Cup, but I hope it doesn't knock his confidence.
Gonzo, do you think Bilic messed up a wee bit? I know we're talking as a review. We've got hindsight. We've got the benefit of that. I don't think anyone would have complained too much with Antonio being right back, despite he got a hard time at Old Trafford. So I think Van Gaal maybe thought, well, let's go for him again. Do you think Bilic got it wrong playing Antonio right back when he had options? He had Collins. He could have played Tompkins right back or whatever. So he did have some options, whereas maybe his hand's been forced in the past. But do you think he got that one wrong?
Yeah, for two reasons. I mean, I think it finally caught up with us, to be perfectly honest with you, playing a winger at right back. And you're absolutely right about the previous leg, by the way, where Martial had run him ragged. And I think to a certain extent we'd got away with it, but actually they were attacking a lot down that flank. Well, you remember, because we were at the game together, Arsenal were attacking a lot down that flank. And I totally agree. I think actually you've got to put a defender there, just positionally. And I think the other thing is it gives us more quality going forward, which is going back to what Scott says. You liberate Antonio, he plays on the wing, and then suddenly you've got someone to provide some ammunition for Carroll, who proved at the end, when there is a bit of service going in, that he can win the ball. But let's not totally blame Bilic. The players are off key. Cresswell normally such a good provider across his crosses, kept on overhitting his crosses. I think it was very wet. It's always, hard when you watch it on the telly. You could see that tonight. I think when the ball's wet, it's harder to control the ball, and I just think for any number of reasons. I think there was lots of different reasons, lots of small percentages here and there, and it was one of it. It reminded me of the Watford game. We played Watford. We just weren't at the races today.
Scott, do you think Tompkins could have done more for the first goal? I thought his body language was all wrong. He was showing Rashford inside. He was saying, "Come on into your right foot." I know he was trying to put him down the side of the box, which is correct, but he was positioned so wrong. He allowed Rashford to tuck in. I don't know, maybe he thought Ogbonna was nearer to him than he was, because Ogbonna did get close eventually. But do you think Tompkins should have done a little bit better? I actually think Tompkins is... when I seen the replay, I was a bit disappointed at James Tompkins backing off, and just letting him... He had a lot of time, Rashford.
He did. He's a class act, though, isn't he? I think they said on the BBC you could have had 2 goalkeepers in there and they still wouldn't have saved it. What do you do with him? He's running at you. He'd have put that in against anybody. So no, he did what he did, and that's all he could do.
Well, there was one talking point which is... I've stayed off social media and that a wee bit tonight so far. Gonzo, do you think it was a penalty for the not foul on Payet when Blind went into him?
I thought Payet went into him, actually. I thought Payet knocked the ball too far away from himself and then run into the player. I'd be disappointed if that was given the other way, I've got to say. No, I don't. As I say, I don't think the referee was awful today. I think the one thing he probably did get wrong, the referee, was it Herrera who went down and started play acting, pretended to be more injured than he was. I think he deserved a second yellow there. But by and large, we've had bad refereeing decisions in the last few games. I don't think he was too bad today. It wasn't the referee's fault. It was our fault today.
Scott, what did you make of the pen? Did you think that was a pen or not?
Yeah, normally I say they're not pens. I've tweeted this. I've got it off, and it's a little film. I thought it was a penalty all day long. I think he took him in the box.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Blind's got any intention going for the ball. He goes directly between Payet. Payet does play it quite far, but good. He's getting away from Blind. You can see Blind come in, so he knocks it and tries to get away. And I think Blind's got one thing in his mind, and that's to take him down. He's a very experienced player, Blind. He knew exactly what he was doing. However, we did speak on a preview about the referee. He's not handed out a red card for 30-odd games. He doesn't hand out many bookings, so you should have known tonight that he's not going to make any big decisions. So the Herrera one, you can understand. Well, you get why the referee hasn't gave it. Then it was 2-0 for Laney. Gonzo, is this one just a bit of some upper luck a wee bit?
Yeah, I was quite downbeat by that. So, the fact that it was a sort of scramble in the box and then, it ended up in a pack. I wasn't surprised. I was more surprised, to be fair, that we rallied and went again. It was such an exciting finish. I'm probably mucking up the order of your questions, aren't I? But yeah, I was gutted, but not surprised that they scored the second.
Do you think the young kids, Scott, deserve a bit of credit for that second goal? Because while Fellaini put it in, I thought Lingard did fantastic to get down that box, get the cross into the back post. Martial, although he mishit it, he's still there. Someone clattered into Antonio. Antonio clattered into someone at the back post. I think it might have been Rashford, I suppose. They took each other out of the game. I hate to say this, but I was really impressed by Man United's front three tonight, Scott.
They put it together quite well. I find it difficult to give Man U credit. It doesn't come out of my mouth easily. They played well, and it's about time. The amount of money that they spent. But the funny thing about that goal, I don't know who it was on the line. I think it might have been Cresswell who was putting his hand up for offside. He was the last man back. That was the funny part about it.
Then, not long to go, was scored. James Tompkins corner. Carroll finally got his head on it. Tompkins, brave James Tompkins, I must say, took a risk of getting a full whack to the face by Fellaini there. Did you feel, Gonzo, that it was game on then, or were you still a bit, we're still not at the races yet, we didn't deserve that?
I don't care if we deserve it. Yeah, I mean, because you believe, because this season's been brilliant, so it sort of makes you believe. But it was all guts, and it was all blood and guts and thunder, and we were still a man light in the centre of the midfield, in that sense. So we were still sort of relinquishing a bit of possession, but we had an urgency about us that wasn't there for most of the game. And for 12 minutes or whatever it was, we seemed to really, really want it, and that seemed to override the tactical deficiencies of Antonio being at right back, having one man being outnumbered in midfield. So we just sort of wanted to get it forward, and Moses had ironically, bearing in mind what we discussed in the week, had brought something additional, some sort of attacking threat, which Valencia just wasn't posing. So he would beat his guy, and he tried to make some substitutions, Bilic, but it was unfortunately just too little, too late. We couldn't get the next goal to take into extra time.
Scott, we scored from a header, from a corner, but a cross. Was that key? That's what we've been lacking all game, because we never really put the crosses into Andy Carroll, despite the success against Arsenal, despite Man U conceding from crosses against Spurs on Sunday. We still didn't really test Man U with crosses, did we? Was that a bit strange to you? I was expecting Man U to get bombarded with crosses tonight.
Going back to what Chris said before, I think he would have had Antonio on the wing. I think we would have done. The only way we could do that was by getting him up, and then, like I said, we got hit on the counter-attack with the gap at the back. But when we started to put crosses in, they lucky defence. We had them under the cosh. Should have done that more often. And I know I'm not going to the long ball game. Build it up, just get some quality balls in. And when we started to do that, players step up to the mark and put their head on.
Well, there were scenes right at the death there when Keati put the ball in the net. He thought he made it 2-2 after a couple of saves from De Gea. Gonzo, what was your household like? Was it mad, or were you thinking it was offside?
I'm not going to, because they don't all want to be on the thing, but I mean, there's loads of us all sat on the sofas here, and we were up, the baby's in bed, so my wife said, shh, and it was very exciting. Was it exciting?
Yeah.
There you go. We thought it was going to be. We thought it was so, and then you sort of saw the players weren't quite celebrating as much as they should be, and then Coyote sort of stood there like that, isn't he? As I said, oh no, I think he's called it, he disallowed it, and the dream's dead at that point, isn't it? Gutted.
Scott, was that just the knife being twisted?
I spilt my Guinness.
You drank, to be fair, Scott. Don't hold a mostly empty pint of Guinness and try and convince us that it was spilt, mate. We know exactly where that Guinness has gone.
I'm 50 next year. I can't take many more of these games like that. My missus come running downstairs because she forgot about the football being on. She thought I'd electrocuted myself or something. Oh man. I just couldn't. I couldn't believe it. I was dancing around, and I didn't even see that it was offside. The game was going on, and I hadn't took that in. I was still celebrating.
Well, then a strange thing happened. We got a corner. 2 minutes to go in injury time. It's the 92nd minute. We've got a corner. In the box is Andy Carroll, Ogbonna, Tompkins, Keati, Emenike, Antonio. Big guys, let's get it in. Let's hang it up and let's cause some panic. On the edge of the area, 25 yards out, we have Mark Noble, who scored about 1 goal outside the 18-yard line in his whole career, right? He scored about one goal. For some reason, West Ham think it's a good idea. Let's try and set Noble up for the first time volley through 18 bodies in the box against a world-class keeper. Gonzo, what was going on? I was sitting there waiting, going, get this in and hang it, and let's almost pick Andy Carroll up like in rugby. Let's pick him up and get him on the end of it. I thought Payet mishit it. What were they doing, Gonzo?
I think my theory is before the match, I think someone's gone for a pre-match number 2 and they've taken a copy of Roy of the Rovers in with them, and Roy's done something fantastic and he's played with this volley from 30 yards, and someone's come out and said, no, Bob, I know what we need to do, and common sense has gone out the window. In fact, I think I saw Paul Scholes do it once, but it's not something you actually see, and to think that actually might happen at that given point, whereas you say when you've got Andy Carroll in the middle, no, I mean, we couldn't believe it. What a strange decision. But obviously it was worked on. Obviously it's happened at some point in training. But just for that point, for obviously Payet and Noble to think, well, let's do that thing now. Let's do the old routine. Now we'll do the routine. Think, oh my goodness, no. But there you go.
Scott, were you raging? I bet you were fuming. The rest of your Guinness must have went everywhere.
Yeah, but if that had gone in, would he got called up? Listen, I'm not calling Noble. I'll call him up on the phone. I've got some boxes that need lifting. Did you see him lift that guy and take him off? That was, I tell you, when he practicing football, he's got a living. I tell you, just moving things, fantastic.
He didn't bend his back at all, did he? Kept a straight back.
But if that had gone in, I just thought, I just couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I thought, what are you playing at? What are you playing at? Just get it in there. All you have to do is get it in there. Let everyone compete for it. But I think the game had gone by then. If that had gone in, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Well, what do you mean the game had gone by then? It was 2-1 in the FA Cup quarterfinals, and there was only one goal in it. It's a corner. What do you mean the game's gone?
If by heart we could still win 3-2, that's where I were going with it. We still were in it. We're still in it. I don't know. I got a rush of. I've spilt my Guinness.
Gonzo, what's he on about?
Well, it sounds like he's drunk a bit of Guinness by the sound of things. He said, can you imagine? I think the imagining was the problem. I think there was a bit too much imagination going on there. We needed a bit of pragmatism, and we needed to hoof it into the box for a big fella to do something. Yeah, well, what can you say?
Well, let's talk about two players, bad cop and good cop. Let's start with bad cop. Scott, Mr. Enner Valencia, what did you make of him tonight?
Oh, man. The first shot, it was like a back pass. I didn't get that one. And then he had another crack at it. He just wasn't at the game. He didn't look interested. I was tweeting away with somebody, and he was saying, I've got to hope we get rid of him at the end of the season. I'm in that ballpark with him. I've had enough now. We had a good season with him, fantastic. Just let him go. Weak. He was poor tonight. He was poor.
Gonzo, I know you're not his biggest fan, but tonight must have took the biscuit a little bit with that performance. It's quarter-final of the FA Cup, and he's playing like that.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not surprised at the performance, but I don't know what he is. Sorry, this is probably my dad's calling me now it's probably my mum telling me that dad's done something silly. It's funny enough, that's actually Hugh calling me on the phone. So if you're watching this back, Hugh, I'm not answering the phone. I'm talking again. I don't know what he is. Is he a winger? Is he a striker? The trouble is he just keeps running into people and losing the ball, and it's a real problem for us. And as I said, I think you saw when Moses came on, the extra little bit of quality that he gave. He was actually able to beat a man and then put someone into position. It's just, do you know what? I think Valencia is our third highest third biggest transfer, and I just don't think it's worked out for him.
Yeah, well, at the very first start of the game, he put in a decent cross. Literally in the first couple of minutes, it was decent, low and hard, out for a corner. Then I thought, this could work, because he has provided us with some blinding crosses this season. Only a couple, but they have been on the money, on the head. Now, this is what Carroll needs. And it just didn't happen. He had chances to put the ball in the box, and it did not happen. He kept running into defenders, and it was frustrating. Scott, we've had a ram, we've had a sadness. Two questions. First of all, how are you feeling? Are you still feeling sick?
I am feeling. I actually had it in my head. I'd started out with Tom. Well, I was booking a hotel tonight. Not with Tom, but I was booking a hotel tonight. It's out. Me and Tom are a couple. There we go. No, I was getting everything set up for coming down south and semi-finals. It was all done. It's all done in my head, and it's all gone now.
And the second question is, why is there a picture frame and nothing in it above your head?
Here.
Well, to the other side, yeah, there's a white picture. It looks like a white bit of paper.
Oh, it's a drawing. It's
West Ham season. That's what it is. Boom, boom. Shh, it's West Ham season. There's nothing in it. Gonzo, is that season over for West Ham?
I think so. We just have to. But it's been an excellent season, and a season fitting of the last year at the Bowling. Let's be perfectly honest. We've had a really, really good journey. When we've not lost at Upton Park. I don't think that's the first time since August or something, maybe. We've had a really, really good run, and do you know what? I'm just pleased. I'm really pleased. Aside from tonight, I'm really pleased with Bilic. You can imagine what it would have been like as a last season if we'd have retained Allardyce. And you know what? I think we've proved all the be careful what you wish for people. Those have all been proved wrong. But we've done really, really well. Is the season over in terms of top 4? Yes, but you know what? We can still clinch a European place for next season, and no one predicted that for us, and that's not a bad consolation. So I still think that. And you know what? There's still other things to play for as well. So we can always lose to Leicester and deny Tottenham the league title, which is some small mercy, of course. But yeah, no, there's still some stuff to play for this season.
Well, one big question to you both before we disappear, and we'll be man of match because I don't think we're going to be able to pick one. Do come chat with us on our 100% free forum at hammerschat.boards.net to keep up to date with all your West Ham news. It's claretandhugh.info. Scott, you can pick man of match if you want, but I'm afraid it's probably going to be a Man United one. Is Randolph our number one?
I was just going to say, if I was going to pick a man of the match, it'll be, and I'll call him Randolph. I used to call him Rudolph. I thought he was a bit of a joke at the beginning of the season, but he's proved himself. He's a decent goalkeeper. I've watched him in international games. It's tough. It's tough between the two of them now.
Gonzo, is he your number one, or has he still got a little bit to go? Because the way I see it, if there's a striker in form, you start that striker. If there's a midfielder in form, you start that midfielder. Why is it different for goalies? Randolph is the keeper in form, in my opinion. Is he our number one, Gonz?
Well, I'm not going to call him Rudolph. I'm not going to call him Randolph. I'm going to call him Randy. And I would have Randy in for the next game. To be honest with you, I love Adrian. He's excellent, but he's let a lot of goals in recently. So as you say, I think you give him a go. Give him a couple of games in. He looks really decent. We've got, as I said earlier on in the season, we've got 2 keepers that are both of the quality to be number ones, as it were. So. Why not rotate, and we rotate everybody else. So just very quickly, I think probably the original plan, by the way, was to play Carroll against Arsenal, because Carroll has not started the game in a long time, and then Carroll wasn't due to start today. I think he was going to start Carroll against Arsenal, then was to start Sacco today. So I think that's possibly why the formation wasn't set up necessarily for crosses, so to speak. So yeah.
Well, apologies for no editing on this show, but to be honest, we're a bit too upset and we can't really be bothered doing it. So it's going out unplugged, one shot, no editing, and it's going all right, apart from us talking about booze, drawings, and God knows what else. But Scott, thank you very much for joining us. I'm glad you never booked that hotel. Gons, thank you very much for joining me as normal.
Thank you.
We'll be back Thursday night doing the preview of the Leicester City game. We'll also be live at half-time on Sunday when West Ham play Leicester. Maybe the champions of England, but one thing we won't be is the winners of the FA Cup. Thank you for watching.